Welcome to Law's Pod. I'm Law, and this is my pod. The purpose of this pod is so you've got a voice to chat at, and I've got an ear to yap in. It's also mostly because I am trying a new outlet for the new year. My husband and I decided that for 2026 we would do a quarterly calendar approach to our yearly planning. It's something we've never really done before, but part of it is to do like a misogi. And if you're not familiar with misogi, it's a Japanese tradition essentially of setting a goal that's like way beyond what you sort of would expect it to be. So for some people, it's like, I'm going to run a marathon for the first time, like something that you've always wanted to do that's like a really lofty goal, but not necessarily something that's easily accomplished. So for me, this is part of my misogi, but we're also calling it sort of like part of our self-care. So for 12 weeks, we're trying to add a new habit. And for me, I'm starting with a podcast because I always thought it would be fun to do one and I like to chat. I'm still figuring out exactly what this is going to look like. And if you have something that you really want to hear or use this for, please feel free to drop a note in the comments. I'm sure all 5 of my listeners will have some great topics or ideas that I don't have yet. So let's get going. So just so I'm not an absolute total stranger to you, I thought I'd take a couple minutes and just kind of introduce myself, let you create a picture in your mind of what I look like or who I am. I'm a pretty average brunette 32-year-old woman. I live in the Midwest with my husband and my 2 dogs, Woody and Holly. Woody is a pit bull and Holly is an English Springer Spaniel. They are 2 very different dogs. I'm originally outside Philly, but I've traveled and lived all over the place. I used to be an opera singer for a long time, so I bopped around a lot for that. That's for another day. Being an opera singer is definitely a topic we can expand upon, but kind of not what we're looking at today. But anyway, that's a rough kind of idea of who I am. I have a couple of jobs and do a few different things because that's kind of how we all have to live nowadays. But yeah, so that's a little bit of who I am. Now I'm just working on finding a little bit of spark and keeping my life fresh and interesting and trying new things. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I guess we can start with our first segment. So as I mentioned, part of the purpose of this podcast is so that, while you're bopping around the house or you're bopping in the car, maybe from TJ Maxx over to Walmart or Walgreens or wherever you're going today, you just have someone to listen to or someone to talk to. That's how I use podcasts most of the time, is just kind of filler noise. So part of what I thought would be helpful is to talk about things that I'm interested in. So this segment is called What I Saw While Scrolling, because are we all not addicted to our phones and addicted to TikTok and addicted to Instagram and all of that? So basically, this is the segment where we talk about lifestyle and pop culture and stuff that I noticed that was interesting that either might be new to you or is a topic that is interesting to you. So, of course, obviously most of my feed this past week has been Stranger Things related. It's been a lot of mixed reviews. Today is Friday, January 2nd, and the finale aired on New Year's Eve. My husband and I watched it on the 1st. It was good. I actually really liked it. I think there was a lot about it that really honored like 80s movies. I know for some people there were a lot of plot holes and a lot of memes going around about Elle's faces and the whole Will coming out as gay scene taking a really long time. And I think there were some elements, like I was definitely screaming at the TV when, what's her name? Max. When Max was just standing there in the upside down and she could have been running to get out of it. I was panicking the whole time that Vecna was going to show up and take her out again. So there's definitely been a lot of mixed reviews, but I am team that I think it went really well. I don't think it was as bad as Game of Thrones was. I know people have a lot of feelings about that one, but for me, I thought it was a good ending. Another thing that's going on is there's a lot of like sleuths in relation to Stranger Things. There's been a lot of videos of people working way too hard to find things that someone else doesn't see or something else doesn't know. And I think that's kind of become an issue we have as consumers of television. I don't know. You can tell me what you think, but I think, and I do it too. I mean, I will watch shows, particularly thrillers, where I will really try super hard to spot things that give me clues to the ending or give me clues to who's the good guy or who's the bad guy. And I know part of the Duffer Brothers intent was to have that, but I almost think we do it too hard now. And especially, of course, the social media people, they want to have that thing that makes you click on it. And so they're really digging hard for things. And I think that's why we're so frustrated. Some people are so frustrated with the ending, is because the sleuths are out there and they're like, oh, season 1, which was 10 years ago, had this little tiny fact, and now there's a huge plot hole because you did this season. And I think while there's a place for that, it's taking away the joy of just enjoying watching television and watching a story unravel and letting the emotions lead the way as opposed to the story itself. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I think that there is a place for both. I mean, I think about watching Hill House, and I spent that whole show. If you haven't watched Hill House, please go watch it. It's so good. Definitely more of a Halloween kind of vibe, but without spoiling it for you, keep an eye on what's going on in the background. There are so many of these little things that you can catch that clue you into what's really going on. And I think that's really cool. And I think there's a place for that. But I also think there's a place to just let a story be a story and not feel like we have to dissect every single part of it. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on Stranger Things. Obviously, it's mixed reviews. It's 10 years of a story that it's now over, which is crazy. Congratulations to all those actors and team members and staff and set team and everyone who was a part of that. I mean, that was such a cultural moment. So that's really awesome for them that they can kind of close that chapter and move on with their lives, and that we get that little piece of history from a pop culture perspective. But yeah, so that was a lot of what I've been seeing on my feed right now. Of course, then we have the holiday stuff. We're wrapping up the new year, as I mentioned. A lot of stuff about the new year. Of course, we're having all the stuff about, new year, new me. Actually, I've seen less new year, new me type things, and a lot, of course, of the habit tracking. I kind of fell for it, right? I'm doing this quarterly calendar that I've never done before. It seems like adding structure and planning and self-care in a more adult way seems to be a lot of what my feed is right now. It's a lot of, okay, we're entering a new year and we're going to be more financially responsible. We're going to be more consistent with our habits, which I know is always part of New Year's, but it feels a little different. I feel like in the past couple of years, it's been a lot of let's hype it up and let's be, all in on our fitness. And I think people are realizing that that's just not realistic for most people anymore. And so they're approaching it more of okay, how do we create healthy habits that are smaller? Or how do we create goals that aren't body image focused, which I think is interesting because we are in this Ozempic time where we're getting pushed the skinny narrative. I mean, I was born in 93. So, I grew up through that first, I guess it would not be the first, but through that big push of celebrity skinny. And now we're seeing that again. But we're not necessarily seeing that from the influencers, I don't think. I think they're realizing that their audience doesn't want that. They want solutions, but they don't want to see more Ozempic getting pushed, even though we know they're all mostly on it. So I don't know. I think that's just something interesting I observed this year, is that for the new year, new me kind of perspective, no one's actually saying it. They're more providing solutions that are habit-based. So yeah, I took that from the perspective of my workouts. I was already doing okay with my workout schedules in the pre-new year, but what I decided to do this year was, because I get bored doing the same workout over and over again. I don't know about you, but I like a little diversity in my workouts. So I took my whiteboard calendar, wrote all of January down, and basically every day I have a different thing that I'm doing, which I know is how you're supposed to do it anyway, but I'm not good at that. So this is new for me. So basically yesterday I had to just walk 10,000 steps, which I definitely did. Then today I'm supposed to do an at-home Pilates video. And then Saturday I'll do legs and bum. And then I get Sunday off. And then I kind of filter through either full body, upper body, legs, Pilates, or 10,000 steps throughout the week. And then I have some little goals on top of that. So I'm going to try dry brushing. I don't know if you have ever dry brushed in your life before, but a girlfriend of mine gave me a dry brush last year for my birthday. And I like lymphatic drainage. If you've ever had a lymphatic massage, I do think it's pretty legit. If you've ever thought about trying one, just go give it a try. I felt really good after I got my first one. I deal with PCOS, and so I had not had my period for a while. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about this, but I had not had my period for a while, and I went to go get this lymphatic drainage. And I don't know if it was just coincidence. I'm not big on coincidence, but like the next day, I was able to have a normal menstruation. So like that was really kind of eye-opening to me and really interesting that there is something about, fluid in the body, blockage in the body that this kind of massage does help with. So if you've ever thought about it or if you deal with some of those kind of issues, I would recommend it. I'm not a doctor. Don't take my words. Do what's right for your body. But if you ever thought about doing it, it's a really cool self-care thing to try. And since we're talking about new year, new me, may as well try something different. So I would recommend it. But I'm dry brushing and I'm gua shaing, which reminds me I haven't done that yet today. I will do that after my podcast is over. But yeah, so I'm dry brushing and gua shaing. Of course, like everybody else, I'm trying to drink 2 bottles of water a day. I think that's realistic for me. I mean, this whole I have to drink 85 ounces of water every single day. That's crazy. I don't have the capacity to keep track of that. So I'm aiming for 2 bottles of water a day. I'm aiming to read 25 minutes. I was really good about reading last year. My husband was too. It was the first year that he set a goal for books, and he did such a good job with his reading goals. And I hope to continue that. If you're curious what I'm reading right now, I am on book 7 of the Zodiac Academy series. I could talk all day long about the books that I've read the past year. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments below, and I can do a little segment on what I'm reading and where I am in the book or whatever you're interested in. I know Zodiac Academy is not for everyone, but I have really enjoyed it. I think the overarching story is really good. The character development is really good, but anyway, and then I also have a goal of learning 1 new thing a day. So I think this next coming year, it's really going to be interesting, this idea that I think I saw on somebody's TikTok, speaking of things that I saw on my feed. This guy was talking about how screen time is now a reflection of status in a way, that people who are of higher status don't have screen time as much. They spend their time either outdoors or having experiences or, reading about a topic, mastering, a talking point or something that they're interested in, versus people of lower status, which I know status is relative and we shouldn't care about it, but I do think it's interesting and something worth talking about. People of lower status spend more time looking at screens and not learning deeply about a topic. They learn about the baseline of a topic. So to kind of challenge my brain a little bit, because I do fall into the over screen time thing, I'm working on just learning 1 new thing a day. So I thought we'll talk about that a little bit more later, but I just think it's interesting. Back to the New Year's. I didn't watch it this year, but I did see some clips about Andy and Anderson Cooper and Andy, I can't remember his last name, the guy from Bravo. Sorry, Andy. They host New Year's Eve every year, and they do the whole getting drunk and whatever. And I'm curious your opinion, because to me, I don't know, is that lame now? I don't prescribe to the whole chuggy, cringy, that sort of thing, those terms, because I'm a pretty cringy person. Obviously, I'm recording a podcast that I know no one's going to listen to, but I don't know. The clips that I saw on my feed, I was like, do people really want this anymore? I mean, do we really want to watch these 2 guys get drunk and spout whatever comes out of their brain? I mean, it's just not, I know, look, I'm the first person to say get out, have fun, go back to the clubs. I love to dance. I love to drink. I love to go out when I can. Where I live, it's not the most conducive, but I think it's fun. I think we should be living our lives more. We're all chronically at home, but I don't know if this is the 3rd or 4th year that they've hosted this, the Dick's end of year TV show or whatever. I don't know. I think it's lame now. I think it's over. I think it's not cool. I think it's kind of nobody really wants that. Speaking of the New Year's Eve event, I was seeing clips on my feed today about how nobody was there. Nobody showed up. Apparently, there was supposed to be fireworks at the Brooklyn Bridge, so a lot of people went there, but nobody was there. the videos that I saw, people just didn't go this year, which is kind of crazy to me. I mean, people were blaming tourism issues. They were blaming, again, just being chronically at home. They were blaming Stranger Things, to loop that back in. But I just think it's interesting that even going to the ball drop, which used to be like the biggest thing you could do, or like the most exciting thing you could do on New Year's Eve, people didn't want to do. I think we're losing our spark as a culture, and that makes me sad. But anyway, in addition to the New Year's stuff, of course, we've already talked about it a little bit, but the outs and ins for 2026, everybody's got opinions about what's out and what's in, and we sort of talked about that already. But, you know, a lot of topics about overconsumerism, focusing on financial well-being, natural fibers, all that kind of stuff, a lot of self-care, versus the outs of Ozempic and fast fashion and those kind of key words. Not a lot of celebrity stuff right now, at least not on my feed. I don't know about yours, but my feed does not have a lot of celebrity gossip or celebrity interesting stuff. But I'll keep an eye on that because we'll definitely talk about it. Of course, we have to have the puppy videos. I had a lot of like puppies getting washed in the bath this week. And I also saw this dude's outdoor train set that was snowed on, and at the front of the train it had like a little snow plow, so it was going around his backyard and plowing the tracks. I thought it was fun. I thought it was cute. I thought it was funny. So that was interesting to me. Oh, I know I just said I didn't have any celebrity stuff, but I'm seeing a lot of Zara Larsson. Are we all listening to her and I just missed that? Is she just not in my like age bracket? She's popped up a couple of times, and I really am just like, who are you? Like, I don't know you. I don't know what you do. I mean, it took me a while to get on like the Tate McRae train. I love her now. But again, that took me a minute, but like, so I don't know who Zara Larsson is, but like, she keeps popping up on my Instagram feed, and I'm like, okay, you go, girl. Like, do your thing. You're great, but I just don't know who you are. So that is this week's What I Saw While I Was Scrolling. Let's move on. So because I am a woman of many interests and I'm a girl's girl, I care about the girlies, I thought we'd also have a sports segment. This segment I've sort of envisioned in my head as an opportunity for you to have some sound bites to throw out at your partner who might love sports, even if you don't. I will, of course, preface this by saying I am biased when it comes to sports. I bleed green. I'm a huge Eagles fan. I love football. My husband's a huge Chiefs fan. We're baseball fans. We're hockey fans. So a lot of I will try to be well-rounded, but a lot of my little tidbits are going to be influenced by that. So just so you know that beforehand. But for this one, I was really good, I think. I gave a couple of different options. But all of this is to just give you some points to talk about, or even if you want to do your own research, because I think that's a really important part of growing up and learning things, is just taking something that you're interested in and maybe doing a quick Google and learning more about it. So to start with my favorite sport, football. We are approaching the playoff season for football. Right now, there are a few teams that are still fighting for playoff spots and placement in the brackets. So the games on Sunday, I think there's actually some games tomorrow too. There's some Saturday games, which is crazy. We haven't had Saturday football, I think, before that I can remember at least. So these couple of Saturday games that we've had this past season have been really interesting. I've really loved them. The Eagles played on a Saturday, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. I loved a Saturday game. I had a lot less stress on Sunday and a lot more time to do what I needed to do. So that is what's going on in football primarily. There's some other stuff going on with specific players and, you know, people getting let go because of some conduct issues and that kind of stuff. But as far as football goes, we are approaching playoff season. So that's going to get really most of the focus of the football news. In the hockey world, the Winter Classic is coming up, I think today, I believe it is, February 2nd, Friday. And it's in Florida this year, and that's super fun. The Panthers, who are a hockey team based out of Florida, have been really good the last few years. The Winter Classic, I believe, is happening in Miami, and a lot of apparently fun things are happening there. I haven't done too much research on it, but they're really leaning into the whole winter at the beach kind of aesthetic. Allegedly, they're supposed to have snow in Miami. There's no real details about how they're going to do that at the game, but that's supposed to be happening. Additionally, the Canadian Olympic hockey team was announced, and apparently there have been some snubs there, including Connor Bedard. Connor Bedard is a major hockey player here in Chicago, and he actually had an injury a couple weeks ago. So that could be part of the reason why he didn't make it to the Canadian team, but it's quite the snub knowing how talented he is as a hockey player. So if you're into Canada and the Olympics, I think the U.S. hockey team's been released as well, but the Canadian hockey team in particular obviously is a big deal because Canada loves hockey. But it might be fun to Google and just see what's going on there with the tea, with the drama, with the hockey. Apparently Marchand is going to be playing for Team Canada. He's like a super, super talented hockey player as well. And that's really great for him and exciting. I'm not sure if he's ever been on the team before, but it's a huge honor, of course, to be representing your country. So I saw an interview with him that he was thrilled about that. If you are a baseball family, you will know that we are in the off season, so there's not too much happening there T-wise. It's mostly just trades and signings kind of happening slowly but surely, nothing too crazy. Yesterday, there was some news that a Japanese pitcher named Tatsuya Imai, I think I pronounced that correctly, went to the Astros. He was, I think, a pitcher that a lot of people had their eyes on. A lot of people wanted to know where he was signing. I think he was thinking about signing with the Phillies for a while. I think. I have to double check that. But yeah, so he went to the Astros. So people have feelings about that. I'm not a huge basketball girly or soccer girly. So if you have a partner that's interested in soccer or basketball, I'm sorry I don't have any news for you right now. But I definitely encourage you to just grab your phone, Google soccer news and see what comes up, Google basketball news. I will try to also include female sports in this as well. I am definitely an equal opportunist. So if there is, interesting news or stuff that you want to know about any particular women's sports, please let me know. And if you do have a real interest in basketball or soccer and you want that tea as well, drop a comment below of what you'd like to hear about as far as sports go. I'll even do cricket. I'll do tennis, whatever you want. Pickleball, of course. We got to talk about pickleball when the spring comes back. But let me know what you're interested in, and I will make sure to kind of tailor that for you. So the last segment of today's show is just a little what's going on for me, a little like let me chat at you and you can kind of relate or whatever, or not relate, whatever works for you. So it's kind of weird that we had like a 3-day week in January. Just Thursday, Friday, Saturday is technically like the first week of January. So for this coming week, which would be basically the 5th through the 12th if you're going Monday to Monday, I'm actually super busy. I think we all are. I mean, we had a nice long break with Christmas and then New Year's being on a Wednesday. A lot of us, I won't say all of us, but a lot of us had off Thursday, Friday. I only had a couple of things I had to do that were work related that were not a lot of time. So yeah, so I think just hitting the ground running on the 5th is going to be a lot for all of us. So just, do what you have to do to take care of yourself as you get yourself back into the full swing of things. A lot of housework to catch up on, especially after the holidays. I feel like I had everything like put together for Christmas. I'm a day after, take it all down. So like day after Christmas, it all comes down. Day after Easter, it all comes down. Day after Thanksgiving, it all comes down. I wasn't as good at that this year as far as the Thanksgiving stuff goes, but I really do like the day after, I like to take it down right away. I don't wait. So I had already had my Christmas stuff down, but I do feel like I have a lot of stuff just around, like gifts that have to be put away or clothes that I've been ignoring, or just like decluttering in general is like on the to-do list this coming week. I'm sure we all feel that to some capacity, but that's just like really high on my focus this week, is just like getting the house care together. I'm supposed to have a hair appointment this week. I think I'm probably going to cancel it. My ends aren't that bad, and just like, I don't know, there's something about going to get your hair cut. I love it, and then I also hate it. Like, it's just one of those things. I'm not hardcore about my hair care. It's actually on one of my quarterly goals. I think it's quarter 3. I'm going to try to be really conscious about my hair care. I don't know if you guys have ever seen her, but there's some girl on Instagram who's like the hair care guru. I'm going to see what she has to offer that maybe I don't know already, or just really work on my hair care, but that's not this quarter. So I probably will end up canceling that appointment, or at least pushing it back. We're trying to be a little more financially conscious, and I just don't think I need to be spending $75. And I love my stylist. It's nothing against her, but I just don't think I need to be spending that money right now just to get my ends cut. So I'll probably end up canceling that appointment. I'm supposed to have an interview this week. That's exciting. I got an email this morning, actually, from the person I'm interviewing with, for another job, because why have 3 jobs when you can have 4? No, I'm kidding, but only partially. Yeah, so I have an interview on Tuesday. It's going to be a phone interview. Should be low key. We'll see how that goes. It's just to pick up a couple of hours because we all need extra income. So that will be happening. We're excited about that. Fingers crossed that it works out. Obviously, as we've discussed, I'm hoping to stick with my New Year's goals that we've kind of talked about. Something interesting I did yesterday as my learning a new thing. I learned about super volcanoes in Yellowstone. So there's one super volcano in Yellowstone National Park that if it explodes or if it goes off, all of the U.S. is in big trouble because it's like a massive volcano. And I learned all about, how they grade volcanoes and the other major explosions that we've had in the past, 20, 30, 40 years that have all been really influential to learning about supervolcanoes and the potential of volcanoes. And it's interesting. It was on HBO. I think it's just called Super Volcanoes or the Yellowstone Super Volcano. It's worth watching. I was watching it while I was on my little at-home baby treadmill, and it was, honestly, I learned a lot. So it's definitely worth it to take a look. I also learned that there is a website where you can see all of the earthquakes that have happened in the last, I think it's up to 2 years, but they color code it. So you can also see the ones that happened yesterday or the ones that are currently happening now, or, and just how recent they were or how big they were, what scale they were, which I didn't know. I didn't know that there was a public space for seeing recent earthquakes. Earthquakes obviously matter because I guess the right seismic energy can set off the lava, and then the lava can set off the volcano, and blah, 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 blah. So I learned that about earthquakes, that you can actually go and see what's going on and just how many earthquakes are happening kind of at any given time. I think I always thought about earthquakes as sort of these momentary events. And they're apparently happening all the time because the earth is constantly moving. So it's just interesting to see if you have any kind of desire to learn about that. Go check it out. It's really cool. Anyway, there's a whole bunch. If you just put earthquake tracker in, it'll pop up and it'll show you all the earthquakes that have happened recently and their scale and what's moving and where. And it's just really interesting. And also just you can see the fault lines really, really clearly, which I think is interesting. So if you're a big nerd like I am, go check them out. Speaking of being a big nerd, I thought I would include you guys sort of in my New Year's goal of learning one new thing a day by having the last segment of the show just being kind of an interesting fact or something that you can share with someone that they say, oh, I didn't know that before. Because I love a fun fact. So today's fun fact is that the real name for a hashtag is an octothorpe. An octothorpe, because it has, I guess, 8 little edges. So the pound sign, or what we now lovingly call the hashtag, is called an octothorpe. Alrighty, well, this has been Law's Pod. I'm Law. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I provided you with some fun information or just somebody to listen to while you're washing the dishes or doing whatever you're doing, just a buddy to have. I look forward to chatting with you guys again next week, and have a great rest of your week. Bye.